Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time tuning into my videos. Today, as the title suggests, I want to talk about a very crucial part of personal development, which is self-validation. We're going to be talking about self-validation versus external validation and why self-validation is key to your personal development. So let's get straight into the video. Self-validation is accepting and recognizing your own thoughts, your own feelings, regardless of what other people think. It's about giving yourself the approval that you're looking for, but from within. You're not looking for it outside of yourself, which is what you do when you're looking for external validation. I'm going to talk about 3 ways that we can improve our self-validation. And the first way is accepting your emotions without judgment. If you feel upset, if you feel angry, if you feel sad, if you feel jealous, whatever the feeling might be that you're dealing with in the moment, you're able to self-validate yourself by accepting how you feel without having the need to judge how you are feeling. Feelings are a necessary part of the human experience, and instead of thinking of feelings as being positive or negative, think of them as neutral. Think of them as information that you can gain to know more about yourself, to connect deeper with yourself, and to have a better understanding of what is going on with you from within. An example of this is a lot of the times when we feel sad about something or when we feel upset about something, we have a tendency to minimize it or to say things like, I don't have a right to be sad about this. Look at what so many other people are dealing with in the world. You know, how can I feel angry when I've done this to somebody else in the past? How can I be mad at somebody when I've done the same thing to somebody else? It's okay to validate your own feelings. It's okay to sit with and come to terms with how you're feeling and leave it right there. You don't need to minimize it. You don't need to try to explain it away. You don't need to judge yourself for the feelings that are coming up for you, because all that leads to is you trying to suppress your feelings and you actually self-abandoning. There's nothing righteous about rejecting your own feelings, because in many ways it's just you rejecting the deeper parts of yourself that just want to be acknowledged. Another way that we can practice our self-validation is to improve your inner dialogue. A lot of the times we speak into ourselves in very negative ways. We're very harsh on ourselves. We are our own worst critics. We put ourselves down. We don't say things that are uplifting and encouraging. So often we are so kind to other people. We're so encouraging to other people and we speak positively to other people, but we don't give that back to ourselves. So one way that we can start to improve our self-validation is to be mindful of the things that we're saying to ourselves. Do you often say things like, I'm not good enough, I won't be able to do this, I can't do this, I'm not deserving of this, I'm so stupid, I'm always failing? Are these the types of things that you're saying to yourself? And if you are, it's not going to help you. If you realize speaking to yourself like that so far has not put you in a better position in life. So it's best if we can find more positive ways, more gentle ways to speak to ourselves. Instead of saying things like, I'm so hopeless, I'm always failing at everything, you can say things like, everyone makes mistakes and I can work towards improving on this. Do you see how that's a more positive way of speaking to yourself, and also a more rational way, because nobody always gets everything wrong? And if it helps, think about your thoughts in the sense of how you would speak to a friend or how you would speak to a child or a loved one. Would you speak to your partner like that? Would you speak to your child like that? Would you speak to somebody that you love and respect like that? No, you wouldn't. And so if we're working towards building that self-respect, that self-love, that self-confidence, then we need to start with how we're actually speaking to ourselves. The last point I'm going to touch on of how we can start to practice self-validation is improving our vulnerability and our authenticity. So often we are scared to be vulnerable, we're scared to show our true emotions, we're scared to express ourselves and to show who we truly are, the things that we think and the things that we're feeling. When we do this, we are rejecting the deepest, most sincere, most honest parts of ourselves. And how can we expect to connect with other people, to develop deeper relationships with other people, if we're not true to who we really are? Being vulnerable is about honoring your true self, regardless of what other people think. When you express yourself, when you're honest, there's a tendency or there is a risk for other people to reject you, to put you down, or to feel like they now have the upper hand. But when you know that you're expressing yourself from the truest part of your essence, you're expressing what's really on your heart, then you are being true to yourself, regardless of how anyone receives that. We're never going to be able to control how other people respond to us, react to us, treat us, speak to us, think about us. All of those things are outside of our control. What we do have control over is us being true to ourselves, us living a life that is authentic to us, and speaking up and expressing the true parts of us that often people like to hide because it makes them feel a false sense of protection. When if you do the inner work, you get to realize that life is so much sweeter when you can just be yourself. There's only one version of you, and if you are extracting that from the world, you're missing out, and other people are missing out on the best parts of you. Don't feel like you have to be like the people around you, whether they're your family, your friends, whether it's people on social media. You don't have to fit into a box. You don't have to squeeze yourself into a condition so that other people can receive you comfortably. You are free to be true to yourself. You are free to express yourself. And when you are practicing this self-validation, the need for other people to validate you, the need for other people to approve of your lifestyle choices, the things that you think, the things that you're feeling, is decreased, because you no longer are reliant on the approval of others, because you've already done that inner work for yourself. So now that we've spoken about self-validation, let's talk about external validation. What is it? External validation is seeking approval from other people or from things outside of yourself. And even though in the moment, external validation can be really soothing for us, it can feel very complimentary, it can make us feel reassured and secure within ourselves. If we get to a point where we're relying too heavily on it, or we become solely dependent on it because we're not doing the inner work, it definitely has issues. And we're going to go through and talk about some of those issues of when you become too reliant on external validation. The first one is loss of authenticity. Like I spoke about before, we are all made individual. We all have our individual interests, feelings, thoughts, hobbies, gifts, talents, all of these things. We all look different. We all smell different. We all enjoy different things. When you are too heavily reliant on external validation, what happens is you feel the need to show up differently. You feel the need to do things to try to fit in, or to do things to try to gain approval from other people. When we do that, we're disconnecting from our true self, and a lot of the times we can lose ourselves. We can lose ourselves in the sense of, who are you? What do you actually like? Because you've spent so much time trying to be like the people around you, you lose a sense of who you truly are, and you lose your spice, you lose your sauciness, you lose what makes you so unique in this world. In you trying to gain approval from other people, trying to get people to like you and to respect you, a lot of the times you end up losing your own sense of self-respect. You end up diluting yourself, and you're not showing up as who you truly are. So you want to start working with self-acceptance, accepting yourself for who you really are, flaws and all. Embrace that, learn to accept yourself. And when you do that, you don't need other people to validate that for you. You don't need other people to agree with you. When you can stand confidently in the things that are unique about you and the things that are special about you, you will feel a sense of reassurance. That means you don't need to seek it outside of yourself. For me, I know I'm different. I know I'm a bit weird. I know I'm a bit quirky. I know I have my goofy ways, but I have learned to fully accept myself. This is a little side note as well. In 2022, I done ayahuasca, and a big part of my journey with that was actually self-acceptance. So if you want to hear more about that, comment down below, and maybe I'll do a story time on my experience. The second part about the downside of external validation is that you become emotionally dependent. What you don't want to do is get to the point where your emotions are dependent on how other people treat you, other people show up for you, other people react to you, or seeking the approval from other people. Because what happens is when you don't get that, when you don't get the praise that you're looking for, you don't get the acceptance that you're looking for, it affects your emotions. However, when you're able to validate yourself, it increases your emotional regulation. You're able to regulate your own emotions. You're able to manage your emotions, to sit with your emotions. You're able to say things like what we spoke about in the beginning. It's okay if I feel sad. It's okay if I feel angry. I know what I've experienced. And having that deep connection with yourself and doing the work to self-validate helps you to not be emotionally dependent on other people. And just to add to that as well, the feedback that we get from other people is often unreliable. One day people like you, the next day they don't. One day people will validate your emotions, they'll give you praise, they'll celebrate your achievements, and the next day they're giving you side eye, they're ignoring you. People are people, and when you're not able to disconnect from the actions, the behaviors, the thoughts of other people, we become dependent on them, we become reliant on them. But you want to get to a point where you're able to sit with your own feelings, where you're able to reassure yourself and comfort yourself and soothe your emotions to the point where you don't need other people to do this work for you. And that's not to say that that doesn't have its place. That's not to say that when we're going through things we can't go to friends or loved ones, partners, or go to see a therapist. I'm not saying that external validation doesn't have its place, but it's a bonus to the work that you're already doing, and you don't want to get to the point where you are reliant on it. You want to get to the point where it supports you in the journey that you're going on with yourself. Another point is when we are too invested in external validation, it can affect our own personal growth and development. Let's say, for example, I cared so much about people watching my YouTube videos. I thought to myself, I don't know enough. I don't know whether people are going to receive me. I don't look a particular way. My house doesn't look a particular way. Whatever it might be, I don't have the top priced camera. I don't have all the equipment. All of these things that lead us to think that maybe people will be judging us. People will be thinking negative things about us. People will think that we're not good enough or we're not worthy to do these things. If we become too reliant on that, it can stop us from going for the things that we want. And in that way, it can slow down our progress in life. Let's also say, for example, you want to do something creative. You want to study art. You want to be a dancer. You want to be an actor. And your parents want you to go to medical school, for example. When we are so invested in pleasing our parents, pleasing people around us, doing things for their approval, we miss out on what we really want to do. And I know a lot of the times we can't override our authority, especially if you're younger. But learning that as you get older, that you no longer need to seek the approval of others, whether it's your parents, whether it's people in your family, people within your religion or your culture. When you become too bound by the opinion of other people and what other people want you to do, you miss out on living your own life. You miss out on doing the things that fill your cup and doing the things that serve you as an individual. Regardless of how important they might be in your life, if people really love you, they should give you the freedom and the autonomy to be who you are. As long as you're not harming yourself or harming anybody else, you should be able to do the things that you want to do in life and follow your own path. The last point I'm going to talk about of the downside of external validation is that it is stressful. It's stressful to try to please other people. It's stressful to try to gain the approval of other people. People are individuals, and like I said before, the feedback from other people is unreliable and unpredictable. And so if you go out of your way trying to get people to compliment you, trying to get people to praise you, to accept you, to see you, you're going to be anxious all the time, because you're no longer just living your life, you're almost performing for other people. You're almost doing things to get a reaction from somebody, to be able to regulate your own emotions, to feel accepted, to feel a sense of belonging. And when you're doing the work for yourself to validate yourself, you no longer need that, because you're pouring all that love and that energy into yourself, because you're doing what you want to do, because you're self-assured, because you've built that self-confidence, that self-acceptance, that self-reflection that you're doing. You don't need other people to do that for you. And when you are solely reliant on that, you have so much anxiety and so much stress. You're so thrown off emotionally by the smallest thing that other people do to you, because it affects you on a deep level, because you haven't done the work. Seeking the approval of other people can feel like a lot of pressure. You can't please everybody. You can't make everybody happy. Everybody isn't going to like you. And the sooner that you can accept that, the better it will be for your overall health and well-being and happiness. And when you learn to validate yourself, you're also learning to love yourself. You're learning to accept yourself. And when you do that, you don't need other people to do that. You can rest safely in the confidence that you love yourself, that you're unique, flaws and all, you fully accept yourself. It's important to understand that your worth and your value isn't wrapped up in the opinions of other people. Your worth and your value is innate. It comes from within you. The value that you hold within you is not based on other people. It's not about what other people think of you. It's not about how other people feel about you. It's about how you feel about yourself, and it's about what you know about yourself. A lot of the times when we are seeking the approval of other people, we do things that are embarrassing. We do things that cause us to lose our self-respect. We do things to gain approval from people who don't even value you in the first place and probably never will. And it's learning that that's actually okay. Everybody doesn't have to like you. Everybody doesn't have to accept you. But as long as you do that for yourself, that's the main thing. So just to sum up, focusing on valuing your own thoughts, your own experiences, your own emotions is going to help you to live a more happy and fulfilling life. You're going to learn to maintain a level of self-confidence and a level of self-worth that isn't about anybody else. It's about you doing that and you giving yourself that gift from within. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.